Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mike Brewer with Susan Kessel, and today we're at H&H Mold and Tooling, and we'll be taking a tour of the operational facilities here at H&H Tool and Molding. But first of all, we want to say hello to all of our audience tonight. A special welcome to my friend Marie Coughlin, and we hope that you've had a good week. We're certainly looking forward to today's activity, Susan.
Yes, it's a beautiful day out too.
Yes, and we should have probably done this off the golf course instead of here, but here we are. You had a great weekend. Alex had a great night,
Homecoming.
Friday night, homecoming. We won.
Right.
Was he pretty excited about scoring the touchdown?
He was excited, but he always wishes he could play more.
Yeah,
And he
I'm
never
sure.
thinks he does good enough, but he played and we won.
And we won. And it was homecoming. It was a great activity. Well, on my left is Clayton Herman. And Clayton, we welcome you to the FPAC Channel 9 Chamber Talk Show.
Good afternoon, Mike, Susan.
And to my right is Rick Herman with H&H Mold and Tooling. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're going to, first of all, before we start out into the plant and taking a look at some of the massive machinery and some of the CAD/CAM systems that are employed here at H&H, we'd like for you to tell our audience tonight some of the background that you've had, going way back, on how did you get into the mold making business in the first place?
Well, that's a good question. I started out in 1960 as an apprentice pattern maker, and I wanted to be in a tool making game of one sort or another, and that was pattern making. And I started out in Waterloo, Iowa. I was there for 15 years, and then there was 4 of us that got together and decided we want to have a shop of our own. So we started a shop, and it evolved into getting a little bit into mold work at that time. And that lasted for about 9 years. And then our paths separated, and I left and went to Illinois. And then one of my customers, my good customers, which one of them is Dick Smith of Agri Industrial Plastics, knew I was going to start a shop again, so he enticed me to come to this area and introduced me to Mike and the FEDA board and the other people involved, and they persuaded me to come to this city of Fairfield. And that was in 1987, September. It actually started then. They provided a building for us to move into, which is a FEDA building. And then at the same time, when I was going to start it, my son graduated from University of Northern Iowa, but I'm getting into his part of it. You can tell me that later.
Is that where the H&H comes from?
Yes.
Okay.
So tell us what your major was at UNI and how you evolved into the pattern and mold making business here.
Okay. Well, when I was in Cedar Falls, I was in Clayton, had the other shop in Cedar Falls, and when I was in high school and junior high, I used to work out there in the shop with them. And then when I went to the University of Northern Iowa, I got a degree in marketing. In my senior year there, Clayton was throwing around the idea of starting up a shop, so I had this entrepreneur class, and we developed a business and marketing plan and then we decided to go ahead with it. And so then we ended up here in Fairfield. So it started out with just Clayton, myself, and my mom, and then we hired a couple employees, and now we're up to 26 in the payroll.
Correct.
So and then we have like 20 mold builders. So.
Well, Clayton, in the business that you're in, let's explain to the people how you see a product or a customer sees a product and comes to you and says, okay, make a mold so I can make this product. How does that all happen?
First of all, I suppose would be that we specialize, and there's a lot of avenues of plastics, and one of them is blow molding. And so what does happen is our customers will either buy mail, Federal Express, or the telephone or the fax machine. Will send us a drawing or a concept of a part, and then we'll help design it when it's necessary, and we'll give a quote. And when we get the job, then that's the very beginning of it.
So in the blow mold industry, as we saw over at Dick Smith when Susan and I were over there taking the tour with the camera, we saw the liquid plastic coming out of the machine and the 2 big halves of a mold closing together, and and the air being pumped into the plastic from the inside and blowing the plastic against that mold. And you're the people that make the mold that closes around that plastic.
Okay. Yes, we make the tooling that these plastic shop or plastic customers or plastic manufacturers use. We make the tooling, and after we build that tooling, of course, then it goes on their machines, and then it's in production. We make one-of-a-kind tooling usually.
One of a kind for a particular customer for
Correct.
a particular need.
Right.
And as that need changes, then they bring that mold back to you, and you rework that mold.
And we make changes,
Yeah.
and that seems to be an ongoing thing. There's always changes. There's revisions made on a particular part or a machine. We make parts for the entertainment industry or the sporting industry, like snowmobiles, ATV, which is all-terrain vehicles. We make parts for cars and so forth too, and also things down to like milk jugs that people use every day. But get back to the parts they use on the machine, like a blowmobile or like a snowmobile or ATV vehicle. They're all the time making changes. They make changes, model updates, different size engines. We have to make the parts to be able to receive and to fit into their package.
So that as they modernize and go from a 1995 model year into a 96 model year, they may change the shape of a configuration of a seat or a fuel tank or something. And
Correct.
so you'd remodel that mold for them so it could be blow molded
Correct.
to their specifications.
So you are actually more of the designer.
We make the tooling. Is they have the engineers that they have their own engineers or designers, and then we help them out if there's a particular problem to it, and we'll take care of any of the technical part for them. But the basic design or concept they'll have at the beginning, and usually it takes. We may work on a particular project for 6 months before it ever happens. We'll quote on a job, and 6 months later we'll find out, okay, you're going to get it. 6 months later, the product goes into production, or up to a year, in fact.
Sure.
But sometimes, especially with the model changes, like for these particular machines, we'll have to take and get the product or the mold or the tooling equipment made up ahead of time, and they take sampling of that. And then it's going to sit around for maybe 3 months or even 6 months before it actually goes in production.
Sure.
But they have to get all this tooling that they get throughout the United States. We're just one of many hundreds of tooling companies that makes the special tooling for these customers to make these parts. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of thought ahead of time.
I noticed just recently in the Wall Street Journal where it said that 85% of the automobiles very quickly will have plastic fuel tanks. And so that certainly opens up a whole new avenue for you and for Agri-Plastics, but particularly for you to design and to make the patterns to make all those fuel tanks.
That's true. We have customers from small private-owned held firms like ourselves, make a small part to begin with, and then we go on all the way up to customers for John Deere's. We make products for John Deere or 3M and Ford Motor Company.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break, and we're going to go out and watch some of your magic out there with the CAD CAM system, Rick. And so we're going to shut the camera down and move out to the CAD CAM area where Rick will begin to show us how that handles the making of a final mold. Here we are back in the CAD CAM room of H&H Mold and Tooling, and with us is Rick Herman, who would like to show us one of his products, and both of his children are riding on one of those products up there on the picture. Clayton, would you point that out to us?
There's Chelsea, and then Sammy, and Sammy's sitting on a dinosaur. We made the mold that made that particular product that the company used to make that particular product with.
Sounds interesting to me. Well, Rick, we're looking down here at your CAD CAM system, and the fine lines may not show up too well on television tonight, but if you would, just take a second to kind of rotate that, show us what you're doing, and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, this is a part that was designed by a customer of ours, and we imported the file in on a 4mm DAT tape. And then what we're doing here is we're checking for clearances for draft for blow moldability. And I can rotate the part around and look at the different views and sections. And then also what I can do is I can make it a solid, so it's easier to see. Takes a little bit of time for the computer to generate the solid. And then what we do is once we get done with this, bringing the part in, and we make any changes for blow molding, like soften the corners, put larger radiuses in it, add more to the drafts. That way the part can come out of the mold more simply, and it'll be better for our customers. And then what we do is we go ahead and we design our mold halves that we'd use to offset our cutter paths on for the manufacturing of the mold, cutting the aluminum on our CNC machines. So what we do here is we can design a part, we can make our cutter paths, and then we can download it through our downloading lines onto our CNC machines and actually cut the mold. And you can see here that this is a solid on the screen. And
We're going to go out into the shop and actually see some of the work that your CNC machine is doing based on the information that this computer is supplying it. Is that correct?
Yes. And let's go right now.
Okay, we'll move the camera and we'll take off and watch the machine cut the aluminum. We're back out on the shop floor of H&H Mold and Tooling, and with us is Rick Herman. And Rick, if you would take a couple of seconds here to explain what's going on.
Sure. What we've done is we've downloaded cutter paths from the CAD CAM room through a wire into our computer on this machine, and then what it's doing now is it's playing a program that we downloaded. We have the what you see there is that blue the blue liquid is actually a coolant. It keeps the cutter from overheating and also keeps it from building chip loads on it. And what we've got is we're cutting a little mold right now that's got brass inserts in it for a little bottle part. That's going to make, and this mold's got the brass inserts because of the wearability. They're going to make over like 1 million parts or something. So
Brass as opposed to aluminum most times?
it's actually a beryllium copper insert is what it is. We use those whenever they're going to make long production runs.
Now we're going to walk through in a little bit and show people the wood pattern shop, which is the original way that molds were first made, and now we're looking at really the most advanced technology in the mold making department. Isn't that right?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, it enables us to speed up our lead times and delivery in the molds. Because anymore in the 90s, everything's, the time to market is the most important factor of business. And you could say the people that sell these products.
I just think it's fantastic that we just saw in there on the computer, and it controls everything here. All the precision decisions and everything being done is controlled by that. I think that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, and then our machines, they can, when we're seeing this out like this, we can hold the dimensions to the 10th of a thousandth. So it's just amazing what you can do with them.
Let's move on down the production line and take a look at one of the machines doing the digitizing. Now we're talking with Clayton Herman, and we're seeing another way, the beginning way to make a mold, and actually the way that molds have been made for a long, long period of time.
Correct. And I'm going to show I'm going to work backwards. There's the end product of a mold that we had made, and then that mold is taken to the company and they make the plastic part from this mold that we built. And what this is a waste container for a recreational vehicle, and we have to make it so it does have core slides in there for undercuts so they can snap on the axles and the wheels. And then for the lid area, there's indentions there, so then again we still have to make moving mechanism for die locks in the mold. And so the end product is we made the mold that made the main body of this particular part. Now, how we do that, we start at the beginning then. From our customer, we will get a blueprint. And then from that blueprint, we will develop a design path, and then we'll go into the wood end, or the pattern shop, and the pattern maker will make the model that's going to look just like the part. And then from there, he'll make a tooling aid from this master that will direct the machine for the cutter paths to cut the block of material, which most of the time it's aluminum. And then from there, it'll go on downstream after it's been machined. It'll go downstream. We have to temperature control with water holes in it and vent it out for air. We have to fit it. There's a lot of bench work.
leader pins, and so there's a lot more work involved than just the very beginning, which we described so far. Now we'll go down to the next phase, which when the tooling aid goes underneath the machine and starts cutting the material.
Okay. Now we're down with the digitizer, and give us a quick overview of what's happening here, Rick.
What we're doing right now is we're scanning over this tooling aid, and we're digitizing in the points, and then what we're going to do is we're going to run it back through the computer and add shrink and then cut out the aluminum piece to the left.
And we'll move the camera down the line just a little bit, and we'll watch them cut the aluminum mold itself.
Right.
Okay, now explain what's going on here, Rick.
What we're doing here is we're actually playing back some cutter paths. We already digitized the master on the far side. We're playing it back through the computer right now and cutting out the aluminum.
So that this will actually be the reverse of the final product.
That's true. And then what happens here is this is just some roughing passes, and then eventually we'll be getting to the finished cuts. And then from there we have a lot of processes we have to do off the machine.
Sure, and this is just half of the mold.
That's correct.
Now, Clayton, tell us what your people are doing over here to this machine.
Well, this is one of the other phases we do in the process of refurbishing a mold or changing a mold. Right now this is an existing tool, and we're using a precision jig mill. It's a Deblig, and he's got to put in punch and dies to punch holes into the plastic part while it's in the process of being made. That is, the manufacturer will be using this tool to do that. So we're doing some precision changing on the tool.
Mm-hmm. Remodification of an existing mold.
Yes, exactly.
Well, let's take the camera and take a quick tour down the far line. I see several employees over there doing various jobs to those molds, so let's move on over there. We're over here on a mold and on the bench, and it almost looks like a bathtub, but I know it's not a bathtub, Clayton. You care to tell us what we're working on and then introduce your employee here?
Okay, this is a mold that makes one of those Trafix barrels, those orange barrels you see out there on the road when they're doing road work, that orange round barrel, 50-gallon drum type. This is a mold that made one of them, and this particular mold is being used by agro-industrial plastics. But we're in the process right now making a change for them, and that's always seems to be ongoing. And this mold maker here that's working on, his name is Chase Garmo, and he's been with us for 7 years, and he'll be retiring. He'll be at retirement age the next year, which he's going to be doing. And we were very pleased and very happy that he did work with us for these 6 years or 7 years. I wish he could work longer. They're the backbone of H&H Mold and Tool, are the people to run all these machines. But he is a craftsman, and they see a particular part right there he's got to fit that into an existing mold area. And there's a lot of skill involved in it. That's already fitted. Okay. And
well, it's
one of the many craftsmen we have, and we have him at all ages. He started out with us when he was 56 years old, and we have him on down to 20 years old. It seems like we have every age group there is.
Well, it certainly is interesting to see the progression from your plant to the manufacturing at Agro-Industrial Plastics right here in Fairfield, and then the finished product is taken over by Trafix Devices right here in Fairfield and is finished and shipped from Fairfield where it all began.
Thank you very much.
Let's go on down the line. Well, Susan, we're back at another workstation. We've got Scott here with us, and Clayton, explain to us what you've got here and what you're doing and what Scott's doing and how long he's been with you.
Okay, Mike. This is a particular mold that's going to make a part for a Watercraft seat base, and that's the seat base is where they put the cushion on, so they have to have the base to begin with. And it's existing mold, and we're making a change on it. He's made several changes on it. Scott's gone ahead and he's had to make a change for the seal area, and he's got one of the precision tools in his hands right there. But just like we showed with Chase Garmo, the end result is there's still a lot of man hours put in here, a lot of skill going into making these molds or any kind of a tooling aid, in fact, of any kind of a mold shop or tool shop or die shop. But this is for a Watercraft seat base. And Scott's been with us. He was our second employee that we hired when we first started out. And like I said, I would just wish we had more of him or like him. And the other people we're getting from lately, most of them have gone through Indian Hills Tech College. And and then also referrals or references from the former or from the existing employees that we have here.
Scott, just in a couple of quick seconds here, tell us how long you've been working on this mold and what you've been doing particularly to revamp this mold to make it acceptable to the watercraft industry.
Well, we moved a wall out here that's to help for the seal that goes around the seat base. And we made a couple pads down at the other end there to stabilize it as it sits on the mold or on the seat. Yes, right there. And we changed the neck area of this here, right in this area. We've changed it. And other than that, we put two other pads down here. It kind of levels it out. It levels the seat base out.
So basically, would it be a fair thing, Clayton, to say that the manufacturer saw the need to make his product better from what the original was, and these are some modifications that they feel is going to make this a better product?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and you want to say hello to Mother?
Hi, Mom.
All the football players do it. I don't know why we can't. We'll take a quick break now and head off into the woodworking shop. Okay, we're looking into the woodworking shop, and you've got 3 employees inside, Clayton, doing the actual mold making from the wood base that we saw later on going down to the digitizer that eventually was being cut out on the aluminum block. Now, just briefly kind of explain to the audience tonight what we're looking at inside the woodworking shop.
Okay, right now we're looking at the tools that they do use. Those mills like Bridgeports, band saws, but the most frequent tool they use are disc sanders and then spindle sanders. And then it goes all to the bench, and there's a lot of handwork, carving, sanding, grinding, and right now, but why we can't go in there right now because of confidentiality of some of the products that we're making for the future products coming out. But that room is air conditioned. In fact, the whole shop is air conditioned. All these departments are air conditioned individually, and that's to help keep the wood that we're using stable for dimensional control. And we also have dust collectors in there to pick up the dust, and that's what we have.
Mm-hmm. Now let's just take a quick break, and I saw a very beautiful mold, wood mold over here, and I'd like you to show that to the audience tonight.
Now, I would like to hear about this wooden mold. Tell me, you said you actually cut this.
Well, this is a wood model that we CNC'd. We sent through the CAD cam out to the CNC machine, and then we made cutter pass that went across this and actually gave it a really nice smooth finish. Then we just put a little lacquer finish on it. But the men in the wood end to start with, though, we had to start with a base block. So the men in the wood end, Mike Parker and Zip Zaragoza, they took some mahogany and they planed it and they joined it and then they glued strips together. So this is inlaid strips going across this way, and then up there it's going that way to give it strength and rigidity. And then we brought it into the CNC machines and cut it out.
Great. Neat. Over here, I see another mold that looks really neat to me artistically. And you were telling me that this was a plastic bottle used to make the mold?
Yeah, what we did is we took a takeoff of an existing mold, and then we digitized and scanned it, and then we cut the aluminum out in this and actually made another mold with it. We actually have 2 molds here. This is a double cavity mold. And what we did was we cut pockets out to receive these brass inserts or brilliant copper inserts.
So this is the front and the back of
actually,
this?
This will make 2 parts.
Okay.
So these are 2 fronts.
And you said that the brass is used for strengthening.
Yeah, for longevity of the mold. They use that when they're going to make real long production runs on these smaller molds.
Thank you.
Now, this is Mike Brewer back again with Chamber Talk. FPAC Channel 9 going to show tonight at 7 o'clock, and it's a real pleasure to have all four of you. This is H&H Mold and Tooling. Clayton on the left, Rick, and his sister Deanne, and Sherry, who's the boss of the whole works because she does the payroll. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
But don't ruin my reputation. I'm never here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're very pleased to present this show tonight, but we're more particularly impressed and pleased to see the whole family. Real beautiful production you've got out here.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, and we're happy to be here at Fairfield.
We're just on our way outside to view some of the beautiful afternoon that's going on and to take a look at the outside of this brand new building that H&H Mold and Tooling has just finished this past year. And as we're going by, we're looking at some of the beautiful offices that have been constructed as part of the new office and home of H&H Mold and Tooling. We're outside of the new building built by H&H Mold and Tooling, but we're looking right now at the original building that H&H came to in Fairfield how many years ago?
8 years.
8 years ago, and this was part of the Fairfield Economic Development Association mall building, and you occupied 1/4 of that building, which was about 5,000 feet of clear span space and 1,000 feet of office space.
That's correct. That's correct.
And now tell us the size of the current building that we're looking at right behind us.
We moved in this building here a year ago last May, and this building here has 2,400 square feet of office and 12,500 square feet of production facility.
Well, it certainly was a pleasure going through the plant today, and having gone through the other facility over here to our right, you needed the room.
That's for sure, and it was very helpful from starting from the bankers and and then the FEDA board and everything else. That we had a lot of help getting here.
Well, it's been a real pleasure, and it's one of those success stories that we certainly are very proud of here in Fairfield. As we sit inside, the opportunity for you to start with a basic piece of wood and then turn it into aluminum and then take it over to Agri-Plastics for a customer, and they manufacture a product, and then it goes right down here to this same building where Traffics Devices is located, and a finished product is shipped out of Fairfield. And that's pretty exciting when you see that happen over the years.
Yes, it is.
Susan, in closing, do you have anything special that you would like to tell the audience about coming up?
About coming up in the future. Oh, lots more games, lots more football games, and the weather's nice now.
I thought you were going to tell us about the football game. Now, where are we this Friday night?
I believe we're here at home again. We play, I think, Davis County.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. So stay tuned, folks, and we'll watch the young Kessel run for another touchdown, we hope. And we've got a couple of coming activities that the Chamber would like everyone to be aware of, and that is coming up on October 11th, where the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce hosts all of the manufacturers and their key employees to a luncheon at the Fairfield Golf and Country Club, and that's available to all Chamber members and their employees, and we certainly hope that everyone takes advantage of this very important opportunity to congratulate and address our manufacturers, the backbone of our industry here in Fairfield, Iowa. Then on October 26th, the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce has its annual meeting scheduled, and at this time there'll be the election from the membership for the board of directors, and that will be held at the Country Club. And a special feature of this Founders Day banquet is always the presentation of all the past presidents of the Fairfield Chamber, and that's kind of an exciting thing, Susan. In fact, we might want to even do some taping at that time, because it's very exciting to hear about from past presidents those issues that they faced when they were president.
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
So we may be doing that at a later time in October. We've got a show coming up this following Monday night that's going to be with the Business Horizons from the Association of Business and Industry in Des Moines, Iowa. Stay tuned. And for FPAC Channel 9 Chamber Talk, this is Susan Kessel and Mike Brewer wishing everyone a very good week.